Hey there, film fans. I am Jeff.
I'm Dave.
I'm John. Welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. We are positive, and we are this week talking about new movies. We are talking about positively. No stuffy film criticism podcasts here, people.
Yeah.
That's why we made this our drinking game to make sure, because if we say anything stupid or negative about a film, you're going to hear this sound.
Had it queued up this week.
That means that we are drinking, and we hope that you are drinking as well.
Yeah. So, pour yourselves a glass. Give it up for a film we love and a film that the internet seemed to think needed some love.
Mm-hmm.
They came at that.
Yeah, the internet was saying that before the movie even came out.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we'll talk about that.
No, that's the new internet.
The new internet, yeah. This movie sucks. Did you see it? Of course not. All
Yeah,
right,
they haven't
but before
finished
we get
shooting
into
it yet.
these two films, let's send it over to John for. Let's send it to John for some shout-outs.
All right, as always, we have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. He's based out of Jackson Heights, Queens, I believe, New York. He has a handle. It's C Barroso Bar 2019. That's on Instagram. Give it a follow. That is C Barroso Bar 2019. CBARRO.
Check the episode notes, people.
Well, you know what it is. Jesus, I've been drinking. And the music on this episode and every
You know
single
how to spell it.
episode is provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. If you dig the music, head on over to soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist and you can download all of it for free. Guys, wow.
Is that dig it or dig in? That's a reference to one of our movies that we're going to be talking about, people, because this is the 8th week of our It Was the Best of Film, It Was the Worst of Film of 2020 series, where we pair a supposedly good film that may be nominated for some Oscars with a supposedly bad film that may be nominated for some Razzies. Dave might give us a shout out later because the Razzies did release a long list.
Yes, they
right?
did.
So you can see all of the potential nominees are on that list. That does not mean everybody on the list will be nominated, but our podcast is doing a pretty damn good job. So stay with us for all of your Razzies news. And of course, the disclaimer is that our various sources were online odds makers. These were not chosen as films that we are either rooting for or against. So with that, before we get into our two films that we are going to be discussing, I say we do a quick round of what you've been watching, people. A quick round of what you've been watching. Dave, would you like to go first?
Sure. I had a week of finishing things. So all these shows that I got behind on, I finished up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I finished up 12 Monkeys. And I have to say, 12 Monkeys did it better. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went out in a classy way, but 12 Monkeys did it better. Of course, I'm all over WandaVision, like everybody else. And I finally caught I'm halfway through it. I didn't get to finish it. The Netflix film Space Sweepers.
Sweepers.
Yes, it's a Korean film, and it is some of the most ridiculously epic space action and crazy robot scenarios you've ever seen in your life.
Nice, dude.
Yeah,
nice.
It's good fun. It's good fun. It's campy. It's cheesy. Yeah.
Cool, dude.
John,
I saw watched these obviously. I watched a movie that did really well at Sundance in like 2012. It's called On the Ice. It's by Andrew McLean. I had never heard of him or seen it before, but I really did enjoy it. It takes place in the very most northern city of Alaska. So, you know, the Inuit people, contemporary, modern, of course, little murder mystery situation. It was pretty cool. And then I finally tuned in to the A24 virtual screening of Minori this week on Wednesday evening, and holy shit. I mean, I cannot say enough. It was, I said I loved the Vast of Night on this. That's probably like kind of my fan favorite, just like the sci-fi, you know, it's not as heavy of drama as something like Minori or Sound of Metal, but those two are up there for me for sure. I think I'm hoping that they're going to duke it out.
We were going to watch that all together, but the tickets were gone.
Yeah, the Minori
Yeah.
screenings
Yeah.
did sell out
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was $20 a pop, but it was like that's probably the best $20 I've spent all year. It was so powerful,
Cool.
so delicate, such an intimate
Nice.
film. I can't say enough about it. So hopefully everybody will get to see it before the Oscars come out. Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, it'll be available for video on demand through Prime and through anybody else, I think, in a month. So it'll happen. And hopefully we can
I
add it to
also
our list.
watched the first episode. Of Pharaoh versus Allen. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
sticky stuff there.
Apparently it gets
Excited to
worse.
see Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm curious. Excited
Yeah.
is not the right word. I'm apprehensive and curious and interested to see the rest of it. But Jesus Christ, wow,
Yeah,
Jack.
coming soon under a bus near you.
I'm going into spring break somehow. It's February, but we're going into fucking spring break at my grad school. So this week was busy. All I did was catch up on WandaVision. I'm going to go ahead and say this, though. I had a twist spoiled for me by accident. I was listening to a podcast and wasn't paying attention, and then all of a sudden I heard the twist. And knowing the twist, the show suffered knowing the twist. In my opinion, that's what I think. It was one of those, that's how they did it? Cool. But it's fun. It's fucking fun. It's filmed so well, and I'm a huge fan. But yeah, knowing the twist. So don't know the twist before you go in, if you can. And then of course, RuPaul UK. And I know that the fucking reality show stuff is you guys. Okay, I was not into the reality show stuff, but The Bachelor is blowing up right now in the worst way. The host had to step away. There's a huge controversy. It's fucking falling apart. The girls keep leaving The Bachelor. They keep being like, you know what, bro, like I'm happy to be on TV, but like I can't handle you, so I'm out. And he like is starting to notice it. So I know it's reality television, but it's falling apart, and it's fucking great.
Dave, does the buzzer work?
The buzzer does work. I'll show you.
Yeah. Jeff.
All right, that's it. Okay.
Todd from Australia just joined us. So Todd, every time you hear a buzzer, make sure you drink.
Yes, that's right.
What
time is it in Australia right now? 8 a.m.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, people.
Be about lunchtime. You can get drunk.
All
at
right. Thank you all for going on that sojourn with us, but it is time to get into this week's episode here, the featured segments. So this week we'll be discussing the incredibly powerful Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, available now on HBO Max, and COVID hotbeds known as cinemas. That's right.
Yeah.
We haven't been to any of those in a while, but if you want some COVID, you can go ahead and check out Judas and the Black Messiah.
Reopening in New York
AMC.
on the 5th of March.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Get those vaccines going, J&J, baby. That is currently nominated for 2 Golden Globes, which, if you know our podcast, we record on Sunday nights, so that is about to start. So I'm sorry that we can't give you any feedback about that. But anyway, Daniel Kaluuya and the song written by her are nominated. We will later be discussing Disney's Mulan remake, which will be our, of course, presumed Razzie film. Reviews were actually okay on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was propelled into the Razzie conversation a long time ago when people started giving a crap for releasing on Disney Plus a paid subscription service for an additional $30 video on demand surcharge, basically telling families in the middle of a pandemic trying to find something for their kids to watch. Hey, we know you're struggling with in-home school and declining social skills, but this movie was very expensive, so get a job. That was the voice of Disney.
It was very expensive too.
That was the voice of Disney.
Get a job!
As they laid off 30,000 entertainment workers who turned to federal support for assistance. Anyway, not Disney's fault, but then it received some negative press, hot off the presses, for apparently filming some scenes in Xinjiang, which is home of the Uyghur Muslim concentration camps, and they thanked the government of Xinjiang, China in their credits, basically thanking a government that has active concentration camps tearing families apart in China right now in their credits. So they got so much backlash. The government of China, of all of China, apparently, the Communist Party of China, contacted the American press, and said, don't cover our film this way. Like the government tried to threaten like the New York Times. So everybody was like, fuck you, Razzies all around. So anyway, that is going to be in the Razzie film. Was it really that bad? You're going to find out soon. Stick with us. But first, Judas and the Black Messiah, our film that is probably going to be nominated for some Oscars. So let's talk about it. It is produced by Ryan Coogler, who you probably know from Black Panther and Creed and Fruitvale Station. And he just signed what I'm assuming is an fucking enormous holding deal with Disney to basically produce content over the course of the next few years. It's directed by Shaka King. It stars Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Clemens, and Martin Sheen. It's available on HBO Max. It is about Fred Hampton, played by Kaluuya, the real-life, young, charismatic activist of the Chicago Party of the Black Panthers, who becomes the chairman of the entire Illinois chapter, putting him directly in the crosshairs of the government, the FBI, and the Chicago police. But to destroy the revolution, the authorities are going to need a man on the inside. So in comes Bill O'Neill, infiltrates the Black Panther Party per racist FBI agent Mitchell, and the racist as fucking fuck J. Edgar Hoover, played by Clemens and Sheen, respectively. As party chairman, Fred Hampton ascends, falling for a fellow revolutionary. Wages for O'Neill's soul, yada, yada, yada. That is Judas and the Black Messiah. Who would like to step away with their initial thoughts first?
So powerful. So when did you guys watch this? Did you watch it like last night or a week ago? Or
I watched this today.
I watched it last night.
I think I watched this after we signed off last weekend, and I've been thinking about it all week for sure. It's one of those movies that I'm hoping we can kind of dissect it a little bit. This does not feel, and I mean this in a positive way, this does not feel like the 80s and 90s were full of movies like these. Do a really nice feature film length telling of a true political biopic kind of story. We saw a lot of those in the 80s and 90s, and the production values through the roof. I'm not talking about anything technically. I can't even really put my finger on it. So I'm kind of hoping you guys might be able to help me. This did not feel like those. And yet I thought it still gave me exactly what I was looking for. I learned something. I was super entertained. I was moved. I was motivated. And this just the big picture mystery. How did they release? It seems like sometimes movies just get released when like something happens in society and then they're like, oh, we have the movie for that. Like, how did this movie come out right after the summer of 2020? It's nuts. It's nuts that this was locked and loaded and in the can. I mean, I hope that stories like this would, always be ready to go. But I felt like this came out exactly when we needed it. Maybe when things cooled down a little bit and we have a little bit of reflection, which some people say is kind of a negative thing, that we're too quiet now, we're not in the streets anymore. But a movie like this is still coming out exactly when it needs to be, I think. And I just can't stop thinking about it. And I'm hoping Daniel Kaluuya wins for this. I think he might deserve it. I feel like it's going to seal the fate of this movie if they get some kind of Oscar or Golden Globe for it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think, John, you mentioned Daniel Kaluuya, and I think that very early in this segment leads into my favorite segment of all time, which is this category fraud? That's right, people. This is the segment. Is this category fraud? Is this category fraud? Now, there is precedent. There's historical precedent for category fraud. I'm thinking about Michael in The Godfather, who's considered a supporting actor despite his very large screen time. And then Christoph Waltz reignited it in the 2000s with 2 Oscar wins in which he has a shit ton of screen time. And the queen of them all, Alicia Vikander, who has 59 minutes and 40 seconds of screen time for her Best Supporting Actress win for The Danish Girl. In 1997, 2 actors, the actor and actress, their combined screen time was less than her supporting actress screen time. So here we are, Daniel Kaluuya, who may very well be the frontrunner for the Oscar of Best Supporting Actor this year. John, is this category fraud?
Yeah.
Dave,
I mean,
Dave, do you think this is category fraud?
Wait, so he's up for supporting actor?
Supporting, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Much. Thank you so much for joining us here on our segment of Is This Category Fraud? As Dave plays my playoff here, I
play it again.
That's right, our Ricky Martin playoff. And just for fun, John, I want to say this. Fuck you, John. There we go. This has been
because it's not offensive.
Category fraud.
It's in harmony.
Yeah, I know. I mean. If you're anybody who watches the Academy Awards, you might not think it's category fraud because we've seen it so many times. And this movie does almost do a good job and not giving you Daniel's point of view. It almost gives you Lakeith's point of view the entire time, but it doesn't. It eventually does slip into Daniel's character's point of view, Fred Hampton. About halfway through, there's a specific scene where I was like, and pivot, where he's laying in bed with her. And I was like, oh, we're definitely in his point of view now, and he is no longer a supporting actor. We're not seeing him through the guise of the FBI or through the guise of Lakeith Stanfield.
In their defense, the reason he's listed as supporting actor is because the main character was supposed to be O'Neill. The whole thing is from his.
You want to get the whole.
They did the story from. They did the story from his perspective, because no one's ever come at it that way.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like they did that for the first half of the movie, and then about halfway through, they share it. Yeah. And then after he gets, for anyone who doesn't know, spoiler alert, this is a real life story. Fred Hampton was murdered by the fucking FBI. That's what fucking happened. And this movie basically shows you one version of that probably likely happened. So there is a last like 20 or 30 minutes where it is mostly about Bill O'Neill, Lakeith Stanfield's character, and you do return to that perspective. But there is a big chunk in the middle of this movie that has a lot of climactic acting work. Daniel Kaluuya is screaming his face off in a lot of big speeches, and it is not consistently over Lakeith's shoulder looking at him. It is with close up with Daniel Kaluuya. So technically, I don't even know if I feel like all mucho respect to Shaka King. I feel like he made a great movie, but I think even he knows, he's like, I think Daniel's going to win this motherfucker because we qualified for category fraud. And I think he's got it in the bag because of it.
I do. Part of me feels bad for bringing it up because I actually really hope Kaluuya gets it because he's a revelation. Dude. He's so good. He's been amazing in everything. He's also a team player because I know Black Panther was early in his career, but like,
no.
It's, I mean, whoever wins the Golden Globe is the front runner, which is happening now, obviously, and it's probably between him and, maybe they would go with Chadwick, but it's probably Leslie Odom. It doesn't matter. Let's not do this. Forget about the category fraud stuff. I thought it'd be a fun segment. I thought it would be later in our show.
I mean, it did provide
awesome.
It did provide one great thing. I'm going to use this instead of a buzzer for now.
Fuck you, John. That's right.
I like it. That's my new favorite.
Anytime he disagrees with
what should we? Yeah. What's our end to talk? So now we're talking about Kaluuya a lot. Should we talk about Lakeith, obviously, or do you want to go somewhere else?
A couple of things coming in. It's a biopic, but a lot of people might be tempted to give it a miss because it's a biopic. We know the story. No, you don't. Like, there is so much that isn't told. Like obviously through the media and stuff like that. And I learned so much during this. I knew nothing about any of this. And by the time I got to the end of this film, I was fucking furious at, like, I'm just, my jaw's on my chest. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. I had to look this up and research it to see if, like, it was historically accurate. And it is. Like, they went back and conducted investigations based on the evidence. And, as they said, they did one of the longest civil cases ever in history to get a payout for the fact that they basically assassinated him in bed. And it's like, it's definitely a movie like that. It will shock you. It will enrage you. And that is a great reason for everyone to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just that it'll teach you some things you didn't know. And I feel like it's a necessary part of history that people should be exposed to.
I didn't know how I talk about the score, but I think this is an okay time to introduce it because the one thing, the score is awesome. And my into why I'm talking about this so early in our discussion of the movie is the one word that I would have for this score is unapologetic. This is fucking violent. It's rough. It does have its funky ass bass lines and jazz lines, but it is unapologetically black. It's unapologetically visceral. There are times where in the middle of a scene, you'll have a chorus of singers come in that are as loud as the action on screen, as opposed to other films that, that have like these polished scores that try to ease in sound so that you have a sonic experience. This film, the score just comes in and it's raucous. There's a scene where it's just 3 saxophones just stinging. Like literally, like that's the only word I can say is they just fucking sting you with sound. And it turns out that it's Shaka King's uncle, who's a Harlem jazz musician. And they tried to emulate the score process Miles Davis when he improvised a film score in 1958 to Elevators to the Gallows. And they basically just hired another film composer to help make sense out of it all. But I mean, to Dave's point, to segue out of the score and
Their
why
names
you
are
get angry watching this movie. Yeah, go ahead.
Craig. I think Craig
Well, I
Harris
have
is his
them.
uncle,
Yeah,
and Mark Isham is
Craig
the
Harris is uncle.
composer. Yeah.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. And again, the reason I'm saying this is because you can't watch this movie and not have this crazy experience. So even if you're pro cop or pro Blue Lives Matter, who, yes, they get called pigs a lot in this movie, it's all call and response. The Black Panther is in this. It's a pretty good job of the violence is always provoked, you know? And so even if you want to get into the nitty gritty of who's right or wrong and all that kind of bullshit, it is very unapologetic in the fact that these people really didn't want this. And yes, they did turn violent. It is true. And the score acknowledges that, and the movie acknowledges that. But they didn't want it. They didn't want any of this. They really, 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 really didn't. And I think that's the part of it I was not told.
Fun fact about the score. The score was actually Plan B. Because they originally planned to get a heap of jazz musicians in a studio and just throw some improvisation together. And they couldn't because of COVID. So what they ended up with was actually Plan B.
Because of COVID, right? Okay, great. I have a lot to say too, but let's pass it off. Where should we take it from here? Because again, this is just one of those movies that you just have to watch.
Let's talk about the
yeah.
Go Dad.
I was going to jump into cinematography because that's my jam. I mean, again, that we're busting out the Arri Alexa LF for this thing. Beautiful camera. Everyone is using it except for like maybe two of the films we've covered in the last like month and a half. They went and sat down and designed different color palettes for the Panthers and the FBI as well. They're subtle, but they're there. Like there's a different color palette when you're with the Panthers to when you're with the FBI. The FBI is a lot colder.
Do you know if they did that in the DI? Do you know if they did that in the DI or if they did that in camera?
Some of it was a little bit accidental. They planned, like, there's a lot of green you'll notice around the Panthers.
Yeah.
That turned out to be, like, they started to add onto that in camera, and then, of course, they accentuated it with color, because I've seen some of the original, like, the set photography, and they've actually pulled some of the bright green out and made it a little more, like, pastel or dull. But, part of that was to get the look of the 70s, but they... the locations they were using just happened to all have like green in the elements, so it turned out to be a thing that they kind of weren't planning. Then they were like, well, we've got this, let's use it, let's build on it, and it just really magnifies the look of the film. I think
so too, and I think it lined up with the whenever you have a film this colorful, and I of course I mean this with respect, it's tipping its hat into the direction of this is a shamelessly stylized telling of this story, and the music and the color of the cinematography just complemented it. And I'm saying this as honestly and respectfully as possible. I feel like this is the kind of aesthetic that, as a straight white guy, like I went into this feeling like this is, Jeff said, is shamelessly black, and I think we're still learning what that means. By we, I mean white people. And I think this is a really good example of how when something is handled this well in terms of style, it's going to create a feeling that maybe you've never had before. So I feel like I could have seen a version of this told more traditionally, I think you know what I mean when I say that. And I'm so happy I didn't. I'm so happy it had all the interesting bells and whistles that came out of Shaka King's perspective, and his team, his department heads around him, that created an aesthetic around this story, as if the story wasn't enough to make it shamelessly black. He also chose to try to tell it aesthetically in that style, and I just appreciated it so much.
I will.
Why don't we talk about
I want to bring into one quick thing, the opening shot in the bar. Once you get through, because there's there's some stock footage that they found of the actual people, and then after that it cuts to outside a bar, and you just see this like beautiful lit street, and then a side silhouette, and he's got the hat on, you can't see his face, and he spins around, and they pull this shot, and Sean Bobbitt, who's the DP of this, loves doing this. It's basically, you keep the back of the subject in the center of the frame. It almost looks like a video game. Like it looks like you're playing Hitman or something, but he's just walking in the center of the frame. And even when the action was happening, he stayed in the center frame. You never saw his face until his hat was knocked off. And it's that sort of, it's like, let's get a biopic and shoot it like the Pelican Brief. So
Yeah.
it wasn't
That's
this
pretty
this
nice.
this
Wow.
is yeah, this is not limited by the fact that it's a biopic. They've still engaged everyone at a really high creative level, and I think that's what elevates it and makes it different to those movies you were talking about before, because he didn't pull everyone back and go, it's a biopic, we've got to stick within this formula or whatever for the biopic. It's like, go nuts, I'll tell you when to stop, and gave
Yeah,
everyone
Shaka
the
King
creative
he went
freedom.
to NYU, and I think they're pretty famous for training auteur style. And when that's done not well, it can be distracting. But when it's done well, it's some of the best cinema you've ever seen. It's got everything about it has a personal touch. So it didn't feel like the director was invisible, and I appreciated that. When you pull it off, I think it really works. I think this is a
Also,
good
I
example.
love that the very first scene is a massive misdirect and puts you on the back foot. So you're like,
Yeah,
kind of,
because
what's
you see
going
him,
on?
you do see Lakeith's face from the side at one point when he turns to put the cigarette out, and you're like, "What is that him?" And it just the way it introduces it's just so interesting because you're not quite sure it's him. You think he really is the FBI.
No,
It's good.
I didn't even know because I hadn't seen anything about this movie. I went in completely cold.
Okay,
So
yeah. Well, let's talk about just what, Jeff?
John, you can't keep stopping. You gotta plow through. I was
Get it out,
gonna
John.
I was gonna talk about Lakeith, but we can always
I mean,
come back
talk
to
about
it
it,
if
dude.
you're.
I have a big picture comment. Let's keep talking technical stuff. Go for it.
All right. What I was gonna say about Lakeith, to exactly what you guys were saying, is I actually had to get through. I think maybe it wasn't until the second or third time that they plugged in his interview from apparently the future that I even had any idea what he was talking about. I mean, the first one, he didn't say who he was talking to. So this is Lakeith, he's being interviewed. And then the second one, he said he had a mentor, and his mentor was the FBI agent. So you're watching this character who is arrested for stealing a car, and rather than go to jail, the FBI offers him freedom and money to go infiltrate the Black Panthers and basically be a rat. And so it's either money and in Black Panther or jail. And so Lakeith does money in Black Panther. And then there are these interviews cut in where he's talking about his mentor. And I didn't know I didn't know where he was, even though I knew the story. I knew he was a rat. For some reason, I didn't know where his head was at. And the one example I give is DiCaprio in The Departed. You always know he's a rat. Even when he's talking to Jack Nicholson, you feel like he's a rat. Lakeith, I didn't know. I had no idea. And he might get lost in the award season conversation, which is fine. But like the experience you have, and then because you're with him and you don't know what he's thinking, you don't know what he's feeling. He's not over intelligizing his character that some actors do, where they try to make them too smart and they try to make him too clever. He has these complex looks on his face the whole time, and they're very careful. I'm not saying that they're not crafted well, but then it cuts to Kaluuya, and then it cuts to this, and halfway through the movie, I have no idea if he's a Panther or an FBI agent, even though I know he's both, and I know he's the downfall of the movie. So that is acting that stays with you. It's not acting that wins awards, but that's the kind of acting that 10 years down the road, I'm going to be thinking about some of his faces that he made.
I mean, he also basically, in like the interview that you saw him give right at the end, I think it was, like he was never willing to admit to himself what he was doing.
Oh yeah, oh my God.
I mean, I think to Lakeith, I think he's doing his job. I feel like with a straight character like that means they're doing their job well, just like Leo did in Departed. And I think they knew this as filmmakers, that he was a smart enough actor to realize that. They were smart enough filmmakers to comment on that. It's literally in the script when Jesse Plemons says, "If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were enjoying that." Like when he goes to church and watches him doing the calls. So I think they were trying to make you feel that this man is still a little misunderstood. And I don't want to spoil this, but there is some postscript at the end of this movie. You're going to read a few pieces of information about Lakeith's character, and it really blows it wide open. You think you understand what this tale is, and then you read what actually happened to this man in real life, and you're like, oh my God. So the mystery gets dissolved a little bit in a good way by what he actually decides to do with his life. And after he was interviewed at some point, like 15 years after this event. Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I want to talk just really quickly about the essence that's in the title, Judas and the Black Messiah. I don't know why I chose not to read into that too literally before, when I knew this movie was coming out and I was anticipating it. It wasn't that I was expecting it to be totally figurative or more abstract, but it's very literal.
Yeah.
And I think the commentary that this movie brings on the fact that we've heard a lot of stories before, not enough, but we have heard stories before, and we've certainly heard it in politics and news, that every amazing Black leader, especially from that time period, was murdered. Fucking murdered. There's just no other way to say it. They were assassinated. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton. We watched the trial of Chicago 7 not too long ago. We saw what happened to him in the courtroom, and they referred to that in this movie as well. Yep. I can't remember his name, and I feel like an asshole. But anyway,
Seal. Bobby Seale.
Bobby Seale. Thank you so much. And I think that there is this movie does a really good job through my favorite way, through intense specificity and a very intimate storytelling that does delve into, whether or not it's category fraud, two very intimate perspectives on this movement in this time period in American history. And through doing that, it illuminates this overwhelming truth that whether you agree politically or not with what they stood for, nobody, unless they're a fucking terrible human, should ever think that it was justified with what J. Edgar Hoover's stance was on these people. They need to be investigated so that they have zero privacy. At the very least, they need to be terrified all the time. And at the most, that last scene that Martin Sheen basically has where he says jail is not good enough. I mean, a lot of that stuff is maybe implied, but there are enough records from J. Edgar Hoover where he made that fucking clear. That was not good enough for him. He wanted them fucking killed. So, yeah, I mean,
that speech where they're all sitting there and he gives them our entire way of life is under threat speech. Every time I hear that argument, it just sickens me to my core. It's like, and the scene is that awkward and terrible. And I was trying to figure out how to broach it, but at being like those actors and doing this content, how bad must you feel when the camera stops rolling? Like sitting there,
Martin Sheen and Jesse Plemons,
and sitting there and spouting this hatred, and even the scenes where, like, you know, there's one scene where he puts a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, and it's like, how you must, they call cut and you just apologize to everyone. It must have been horrible for these guys to play.
I heard a great story.
Really leave a bad taste.
I heard a great story by Ava DuVernay was talking about when she was doing Selma and she was directing. You're not supposed to do this as the director, but she wanted to speak to her extras when they were doing the Selma March. So she went over there and she was talking to them and she was giving them phrases to say. And she was saying, I want you to say N-word this. And no, you're not, N-word that. And a young white girl raised her hand and she was like, we're just going to say N-word, right? You don't want us to actually say that word, do you? Like they were so, upset about like having to actually go there. But, from the artistry, if Jesse Plemons and Martin Sheen had not so shamelessly fucking did their good work, we would not hate their characters so much and we wouldn't have learned anything. Right. If I would have felt them reserved at all, then we would have been disgusted. And as fucked up as
those performances were also phenomenal. Because you hated them.
Loved Jesse Plemons I know this movie is not about Jesse Plemons, but he continues to amaze me. His subtlety and delicacy with his work is just getting more and more and more complex. And he is becoming even more humble in front of the camera. Like he's choosing to take on roles that are never really going to be about him. And yet he is so integral to the stories he chooses to be a part of. Yeah. And I just felt like he did such a good job of showing what we're talking about, which is, fuck you, that character. And then he has enough conflict where, maybe as white audience members or people who also feel that like, surely it's not this black and white, you will see that even with somebody who has that conflict, he still does the wrong thing. That's the fucking moral of the story for me, is that they were trying to give me a little bit of just a little room there to empathize with this guy who was struggling with it. And he still is fucking cheersing scotch and they fucking murder him and he gets his promotion. So fuck him. Right. That's kind of what I walked away with.
I can't believe they murdered him so shamelessly. Like the other, the FBI had something to do with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but this one is so unapologetic. They so unapologetically murdered Fred Hampton. He was 21 years old. But what's another thing that's
what a
really
speaker
good,
for 21 as well.
Oh my God. And, yeah. What another thing they do really well is the rest of the Panthers. I when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, they talked about that this summer, and the one thing that caught me is that I always learned that he was a very violent person, Malcolm, and there is periods of violence, which, you know, I imagine anybody under these circumstances would probably choose to, you know, get violent. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And in this, it reminded me of that, because the rest of the Panthers, those that we don't even remember their names, because there's so many people that got close to the chairman, and they all struggled with their anger and their violence, because why wouldn't they? I mean, they had no, there's nothing. I don't know if you haven't seen this movie, and there was no chance at the American dream. It was not only shut out, they had a foot on their fucking neck like the whole time, and the way that they struggled with anger. The anger was, like, yes, the violence wasn't necessarily justified, but at the same time, it was a release of.
I don't know if you can say that. I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can say it's unjustified.
Exactly.
The king quote. I think we've got to see that riot is the language of the unheard. To have a movie like this is going to prove to you.
That's again, what I mean. Like, I don't mean unjustified. No violence is bad. I'm just saying I don't condone the violence. It is what it is. That's what I mean. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I love asking myself this question: that is that a privilege of mine that I still, even after a movie like this, get to say, as our current president, who I voted for, said, I don't condone it. Well, I don't know if I even have a right to condone it or not condone it. It's not my situation. I'm not in their shoes. And if movies like this keep showing me over and over and over again that I have no fucking idea what it feels like to be them, then I think the only thing I can do is learn as much as I can and get the fuck out of the way and just try to be as supportive as possible. And I don't know, I thought this did such a good job of that. I was so humbled by this film.
My favorite line in it that really resonated was the life, liberty, and justice. It's right there in the Constitution. But when poor people ask for it, they call it socialism. I'm like, still
This is, again,
relevant.
They filmed this before COVID. So this is before the election. This is before the primaries. Like,
Now, I will say, real fast, I do want to, just to foil what I just said, I also fucking love, and again, this takes place over like a fucking year and a half of this man's life. So he was like 20-ish to 21-ish, right? Like around that period of time. It's ridiculous. And a lot of his scripts are scripted. They're just lifted right out. So this guy actually did this at fucking 20 and 21 years old. However, what also is true, supposedly, I did a little reading. I think they implied some of this stuff, but supposedly there was some truth to it, that he did start to get a little wise and realize politics are inevitably going to be involved with this movement. Maybe I shouldn't just get in front of a crowd and tell them that they need to get angry. You know, there has to be something to do politically after that. We can't just be protesting violence or nonviolence. And I love that they threw that in there, because I thought I knew exactly what Fred Hampton was feeling. And then they turned the screw just a little bit to make me realize, oh, fuck, he was about to evolve into a political juggernaut. And then they killed him. Yeah, that's what's most upsetting. He's not fucking, you know, the same thing happened to Malcolm X too.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they didn't kill Malcolm X because he was violent. They killed it because he was getting nonviolent. And so if they let it go on too far, then it was a movement. And then it was something that they couldn't handle.
They did briefly underplay.
But they could kill him and say, well, he was violent. He did this to himself.
They did briefly underplay his role in the food banks and the feeding the kids and stuff like that. Like they mentioned it, but like apparently that was the basis for entire welfare programs that still exist. It came from
when he came back, dude. When he came back from prison, and they had rebuilt, you know, the headquarters, and he was like, "Y'all feeding kids," and here was the first words out of his mouth. It was the first thing that he really cared about. It was the first word that he would always pitch whenever he was going to get support from other Black societies and other Black gangs and organizations. Parties, what was the name of that gang? I had never heard about that.
The
I didn't know the Crowns.
Yeah.
I had heard that they protected King when he was in Illinois. I knew about that, but I did not know that they were involved with Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers on such a
the meeting. So awesome! It was tense. It was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about the film before we head out? Because now we're just talking about the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing left to say is. My button doesn't work, but I gushed us.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta gush us. All right, let's cheers.
Cheers.
There it is.
Yeah, I honestly lost just listening to you guys talk about this. This movie's great. So please go watch this. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. It's just so important It's so great. If you like this, I recommend Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. If you want to go all the way back to the lineage, which was endorsed, it was endorsed by the Black Panthers. Melvin Van Peebles was a huge inspiration for Spike Lee. And the score for that movie was done by Earth, Wind, and Fire, 1971. And it came out before Shaft. Those are considered the two quote-unquote blaxploitation films. This is the first time that Black people said, fuck it, we're making our own movies. Like, sorry. So that's where, if you're just curious and you want to see more like this, because I saw a lot of inspiration from those two movies in this. But before we send it off to break, any final words?
No, so good. Go see it, man.
Yeah, this might be our longest first segment ever. But
awesome.
well deserved.
Well deserved. Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight and in the future. But go see this movie, HBO Max. And after we take a quick break, we're going to be back to talk about the remake of Disney's Mulan. See you soon, film fans. And we are back.
Yes, we are.
Guys, guess what?
What?
Guess what? While we were talking, Daniel Kaluuya just won a Golden Globe.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it. Cheers, dude. Cheers to fucking Daniel Kaluuya.
Good for him. We're gonna. That was for supporting actor, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Dave.
Category fraud.
Say mine too. Just go ahead and hit mine too, just so we can kick off this section with the other ones.
John.
Oh, you went minor. Sorry,
That's
I went
right.
up to the
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
Sorry, no, that's good. Let's do it.
Cool.
It's a diminished 7 musician. All right, so here we are now in our presumed Razzie segment, Mulan, which, Dave, do you remember seeing on the long list? Am I calling you out? Did Mulan make the long list? Is it still in consideration?
Yeah, it's still in consideration,
for the
I think.
Razzies?
Yeah, I think it is for picture.
All right, so it's very possible.
Yeah.
For best, yeah, probably not anything else, but we'll see. All right, people. So this is Mulan, is the remake of the 1998 animated film. Here's why we're talking about it. I think I set it up pretty well in the original, if I do say so myself. However, it does have a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, but compared to a 49% a 49% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is probably more telling for Razzies. It has a 5.6.
I think some of that is people pissed off they paid $20 for it.
I mean,
Yeah.
And they weren't the first. I think Onward was actually the first, but to charge people 20 or 30 or whatever dollars on top of their subscription fees, it's like, fuck you, Disney. This is over $100 a year that we're already paying you. $30 for 2 different movies this past summer while you're laying off 30,000 workers. It just seemed a little crazy. But, you know, pandemics are pandemics. Anyway, Mulan, it is an occasional shot-for-shot remake of the original movie. It is directed by Nikki Caro, and it stars an almost entirely Chinese cast featuring, of course, Jet Li as the Emperor. John forgot about that, which is probably a fun surprise for him. And then Yifei Liu as Mulan. The biggest knock on the original is definitely the whitewashing. So you have a lot of white voice actors. Aladdin had a lot of white voice actors too, but you know, it's Disney in the 90s.
Although, did you see the Ming-Na Wen cameo?
No.
Right near the end.
What?
She was the original Mulan in the movie, in the animated
Cool.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a great cameo.
Nice. Actually, Mulan was okay, and then you had the Filipino singer, Lea Salonga sang for Mulan. Actually, the worst whitewash was you have Broadway musical veteran B.D. Wong voiced Shang. And even though he had been in Broadway musicals singing live for people, they replaced his singing voice with Donny Osmond, who I think we can officially say is the whitest person alive who is not named Chad. Right? So... And this is in spite of having definitely not pop stars Roger Bart and Tom Hulce sing their leading characters in Hercules and Hunchback of Notre Dame the 2 years leading up to this film. So Tom Hulce sang Quasimodo, and he sang one of the best songs written for Disney, and he did it so poorly that a lot of people don't know. And yet, BD Wong
they
can't
made
sing
The
his
Rock
own song.
sing.
We need to cast him for it. Exactly. Anyway, long story short, let's get on. Okay, so this movie, the IMDb description is a young Chinese maiden disguises herself as a male warrior in order to save her father. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say right away, that description is horseshit. Disney. Yeah.
I've got a better one if you want. I got a better description that sums up this movie. Ambitious girl with serious impulse control problems joins the army to fight the Chinese Goths, which culminates in the most aggressive level of Donkey Kong I've ever seen.
Yeah.
More appropriate. Better. Yeah. Okay, I'll take that. That's good. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop the intro.
Mongolian Goths.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop my intro to say that I'm entirely biased because I have seen the original films at least 20 times in its entirety, including twice in the past 2 years. So what my description, Dave, would be is this is Arya Stark of China. The update is that there's a new villain, Bori Khan Jr. They continue to raid village after village, after methodically, yada, 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 a little bit more methodically than the animated version. And Hua Mulan is already a fierce warrior at the age of 5, unlike the Mulan from the animated series. So it makes the training montage a little quicker because she doesn't really need to train as much. In fact, she needs to hide her skills from the training so that she doesn't stick out, which I think is a whole different angle. And I think pretty good choice from Disney, all things considered. And she is essential to save China and Emperor Jet Li from the Ruran warriors. There's also an evil witch who is also a bird. It looks awesome thanks to money and technology. And
just gloss right over that one.
And kids may like it. There you go. Okay. Who wants to go first? You, Mulan. First thoughts. I'm assuming this is the first time you've seen this.
For sure, dude.
This was the first time I've seen this.
Jeff, I gotta call you up for just a second. You might be the only friend of ours from the 90s generation who Mulan is their favorite of the 90s Disney movies. Are you kidding me?
Guys, no. The Lion King is my favorite of the 90s Disney movies, but Mulan is my second favorite. And I know Beauty and the Beast is great, and I know all these other movies are great. I'm telling you right now, Mulan is paced perfectly. And if you think I'm wrong, go watch it again. Can I say one more thing leading into this? Okay. I tried to get Chloe to watch this for me. Not for me, with me. I tried to get Chloe to watch it last night. And she was worried because she knew it was the redemption movie. And she was like, you're not going to be mean to it, right? And I was like, no, of course we're not going to be mean to it. And she was like, all right, well, isn't it the trailer looks exactly like the original? And I said, yeah, except it's longer and there's no Mushu and there's no songs. And she said, that sounds bad. So I said, okay, well, now who's being mean to the movie? And then she wrote poopy poop in my butt on my notes because she found my notes app and she started writing my notes. But anyway, also there is a lot of death in this movie.
Right up there.
So much for violent video games. Am I right, Disney?
Yeah, you guys this question.
A lot of death in this movie.
Yeah.
Did you guys think for 1 second that she was a man? Like one single millisecond. Did you believe that everyone around her thought that she was a guy? And did you think how relieved was that character?
This is a kids movie.
How relieved was that character when he realized he wasn't gay? When he was like, "Oh, thank God, she is a woman." He's like, "Oh, this is because I was about to."
You make a good point, but this is it's a kids movie, so. Having said that, I think
it's not a kids movie. It's a family movie. They didn't. This is not aimed at children, dude. Right. This is not aimed at children. This is aimed at everybody.
It's aimed at families. Yeah, you're right. Not children, but children included.
What do you think about? Let's talk technically.
There is so much death. There is so much killing in this movie, which is great.
There's so much death and killing. I'm not sure if. So I know what you mean when you said it's kind of cool that they give her the angle of hiding her powers. In this movie, they refer to it as the chi, her chi. She's like overflowing with this fucking chi. It's fucking everywhere, and they choose to hide it. I don't mind. Like if we were sitting around the table, if we were sitting around the table and we were planning this movie,
you have some chi. Yeah.
And you have some chi.
Don't you? They're like it's illegal. They're literally like it's illegal to use your chi. And I was like, Jesus, what the fuck? Okay, sorry.
I just don't know if they... all right, I was not expecting her to have like superpowers, specifically like the aerial martial arts effect that gets used a lot in martial arts movies, especially when they're made and set in those parts of Asia. And we've seen it pulled off gloriously in other movies. I don't know if I was expecting that. So it took me a second to be like, is that really what's going to happen? Is everybody going to be flying around like this little girl in the intro, or is that just Mulan? And then they kind of started going back and forth with that depending on who was fighting. I didn't quite understand. I don't know if they set up that rule correctly enough. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I do feel like it was distracting for me because aside from the colors are overwhelming, like it's very beautiful to watch, but I don't know if they achieved the mysticism of aerial martial arts that other really good martial arts movies that use that technique achieve. Like it's been used so effectively so many times, and I don't know if they got there with this. So every time she did shit like that, I was like, what the fuck is going on? I thought I was supposed to be watching a live action kind of telling of this story.
They used it when it was convenient, but it's a kid's movie, so it's cool to just be like, yeah, here's a flourish.
Yeah, and it felt like that. It felt like, let's just do it anyway, even though it's not seamless, and hopefully people won't care. I didn't really care that much, but it did take away some of it for me. This movie was okay, though. I did not hate it as much as everybody else did. Apparently, everybody fucking hated this. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I'd be fooled there for a second.
It's not. It's not. I mean, it just... There's like
I didn't say it was good.
It has so much like there's so much going for it. Like the pull out the Imperial Palace, like all those shots at the beginning. There's some epic cinematography in this.
Yeah, they actually filmed mostly in New Zealand. By the way, I gave the Wuhan shit. Most of the movie was filmed in New Zealand, so obviously amazing.
I thought they only used the sets in New Zealand because they only filmed on the studios in New Zealand, so it was the internal sets.
So all of those exteriors were in Wuhan, not Wuhan, sorry, we're in Xizang. Can you buzz me for Wuhan? That's really rude.
Yeah, well, I was going to call you out too.
I'm sorry.
The only place in China.
No. It came up because the girl who played Mulan is from Wuhan, and I was thinking about that. I promise. Okay, sorry.
That's unfortunate.
She looks great. Never mind. Fuck it.
I did actually. Yeah, I agree. I like the techniques that they used for the samurai films, particularly for the flying wire work stuff. I like that, but again, yeah, it was like, okay, it's there, it's gone, it's there, it's gone. So it was kind of a thing. I know we spoke earlier about the controversy. There was other controversy as well, where it was deemed offensive to Chinese culture. I mean, I'm not versed enough to know exactly which parts of this were offensive, but I do have a quote here, where
they removed a kiss.
Subchina.com reference this. It used our culture as the medium to convey their values. If you change every chi to Force and Mulan to the Chosen One, you get a perfect remake of Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
You know what? Point China. Point for China.
Yeah. It's a stretch, but you can get there pretty much.
Yeah. I agree, dude. I mean,
we hate Hollywood too. By the way, we're not like in favor of those kinds of movies here. It's not just our values; it's movie values, if that makes sense. Sorry, John, what were you saying?
I was just going to point out that on principle, I'm very against Disney being fucking lazy and just remaking all of their successful '90s animation.
Yeah.
That being said, I thought the point of remaking them was to try to correct some of the prejudice and racism that is overflowing in those animated feature films. And I thought that this was going to be a good opportunity for them to try to correct some things that are very, very cliche, stereotypes. Like, it's uncomfortable watching the movie. I don't care how well paced it is, Jeff. I'm uncomfortable watching the animated feature.
They took out the
There's
pig,
a lot of fucking stereotypes in that movie.
What more do you want?
I don't know. I don't think they achieved what I thought they were trying to achieve. I'm not sure why they made this movie. That being said, I remember seeing this trailer in the theaters like over a year ago when I was still going to movies. And I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be cool. They're not going to do any of the songs. It's just going to be like a grounded like telling of this story. Like maybe they'll do it like a real folktale. Nah. No, I don't know if that happened, dude.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Disney, because I've seen all these remakes. So you have, first things first, the Beauty and the Beast remake, the Lion King remake, and I think also the Aladdin remake all made $1 billion. So anybody would tell you, all right, well, keep making remakes. Like I know that it now the contrast to that is that Disney's one of the few brands that will take less money to salvage their brand name. Namely, they'll close Broadway shows that are profitable, like Frozen. Yes, there's a pandemic, but it wasn't doing anything for their name because it was a worse version of the movie. So they just closed the show, making money. Nobody else would do that. Nobody else would do that. Everybody else would take all the scraps and all the pennies. So this is one of those moments where when you use like, this movie seems studioized, this is the perfect example, because the original, I think it was paced perfectly. And they know that too, because they spent the first half hour of this movie trying to rush the old movie. They were so against cutting out things from the movie. The matchmaker sequence, waste of time in this movie. Waste of time. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those. But if they want to make $1 billion, that's what people are expecting, so you got to give the people what you want. So rather than just make it Mulan versus the witch, have this epic female battle, what you have is them trying so hard to get rid of that original formula and just take the character Mulan and modernize it. And the whole time, every time they make a change, they're saying, does that cost us money? At least that's what it feels like. I'm not suggesting that's what it was, but you have to leave it alone. Kill the dog of Mice and Men, and you got to make the new Mulan, and they just couldn't let go. So this is the quintessential Hollywoodized movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
think.
I don't know if you guys have the Facebook chat up, but Therese is on and she is sassing John.
For what?
Well, I don't care. Sorry, Therese. I think if Walt Disney was alive, he would be ashamed of them for trying to remake, have original ideas. You have money. You have all the means in the world to make $1 billion doing something original. Why are you remaking movies you've already made? Anyway.
Yeah, this strikes me as the Disney apology tour.
Yeah, and they're not even doing it well. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I will say one thing I did appreciate, which I don't know if I'm the person to appreciate this. I think it was clearly aimed at young women. The turn they tried to make with the witch being like, I wanted to be powerful and I have all this power and men have always tried to take it away from me. And she ended up basically becoming a martyr so that this young woman, Mulan, can achieve status as a legitimate female leader. I did think that was kind of cool. Maybe it was a little bit on the nose. It did feel like, I felt like I was watching two different films. I felt like I was watching them trying to rescue themselves with that part of the storyline. And the other main parts of the storyline that are familiar from the animated feature were not trying to correct some mistakes, if you say them as mistakes from the animated feature. So I was just a little confused. I felt like I was watching two different perspectives on what should be achieved with this new live action version. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let's try to. We are a positive film podcast. So, what are the redeemable things about this movie besides the way it looks?
I mean, to be honest, I enjoyed everything up until the avalanche scene. They kind of had me until the avalanche scene.
Wait.
They took a lot of liberties in 2 minutes there. Like avalanches and horses don't work that way.
I think this is exactly what I meant in my thing, because the avalanche sequence is exactly what happened in the original. Not the way they filmed it, but they couldn't get rid of the avalanche sequence. So rather than do something else, they tried to reinvent the same story, and it's just moot. You know what I mean? How do you get avalanches are cool, it's fun, and it's the only way that a single person can win in a second. No single person can win a battle, right? But yes. But I'm with you, although except for the part where you just had the first half hour was brilliant, because I actually felt like this movie was too long and rushed at the same time.
I didn't say it was brilliant. I said I enjoyed it. I was sitting there like, is this a good movie? Yeah. It takes liberties in the middle.
Often do you say that?
But does it deserve to be voted worst of like 2020? No, it doesn't.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. I do think there's a lot of stuff that got attached to it, like what Jeff was saying at the beginning, the way it was released and all the gossip about how somehow some of the production took place under really sketchy circumstances. However, I grew up in a time where I walked into a theater when a Disney movie came on the screen, and pretty much every single time I walked out, I was like, that was another really good movie. I can't remember the last time I said that about Disney. And I'm sorry, I watched Princess and the Frog after this, like a night after this, because I had not seen that one. And I wanted to watch something contemporary. And I thought that was a really good movie. So
Yeah.
stop making live action movies, Disney. I'm sorry. I just can't. What the fuck are you doing? I just don't understand why they're doing this.
Well, they don't. Well, Dave, talk about Disney.
It's a valid question.
Dave,
but
I think you listened. You listened into the Disney investors meetings or whatever that they released publicly. Really all in on Marvel, and now you have Mandalorian with Star Wars and all the Star Wars spinoff. So how did they mention this at all? Is
no,
the vault part of their thing?
I mean, there was a section of it I missed. So I'm not sure what live action properties they've got coming next, but I know like they're basically gearing up their streaming side because nothing's making money at the moment, like because everything's shut down. So yeah, as far as this might, given the reception this got, and the fact that it had a $200 million budget and it made less than 100 back, I would say this might be the death knell for the live action remakes.
Right. Now, of course, their streaming platform gained like 30% or 40% of users during the pandemic. So how do you value that, considering they also have Star Wars and Marvel and Mandalorian and WandaVision and etc.
Mulan probably did not bring those users to the platform. We can probably all agree with that, right?
No, but you can see them begging for international appeal. I mean, one change they made from the original is that there are multiple kids. Whereas the original made it very clear that there is a one child, one family rule in China. So basically, that was the whole problem with Mulan, is that they had a daughter, and that fucked them when it came to, like, you need one man to represent you. So it was a conflict for China. So in that sense, I actually think this movie is trying to appeal to Chinese values more so than the original did, for sure, which even though the original was whitewashed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say their casting,
like sisters and
their casting has definitely improved. From just before Moana onwards, they were literally casting appropriately, I would say. No more, like, they stopped the whitewashing. I don't know what happened there, but it's very important to them.
Yeah, they realize there's other actors and singers in the world. You don't need Donny Osmond.
And that they're good
to sing in the China movie.
Jesus Christ!
It's too bad because that song's really good too. But the more you think about it, the more you're like,
what did you guys think about?
Guys, how many times did we go to karaoke and "I'll Make a Man Out of You" was on? Like,
I mean
it's
all
a
the
good
fucking
song.
time,
And then,
dude.
you know what?
yeah.
Did you guys like Christina Aguilera's like new and improved version of Reflection in the credits?
I don't know anybody that gives a shit about her one, the movie one anyway. So,
I did like they sang it in Chinese after she was done.
Yeah, which was sung by the actor who played Mulan, which I thought was cool.
Really?
That's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Faisal, is that his name? Or I'm not sure how you pronounce her name, but she sung it, and I thought that was cool. I also enjoyed
Faisal's 30, and they cast her down. This is so great. I'm so tired of people casting young people who look the part and can't act it. Aladdin and Princess Jasmine were fine, but she's fucking good. She was 30 and she played younger, and it was believable, and you move on with your life. And so kudos to
that. I'm not blaming any of the actors for any of the problems I have. What a cast. Brandon Lee, Jason Lee, Brandon Lee. Who is the
It's Jason something Lee. It's not the Jason Lee not the Jason Lee, but yes.
Jason Scott
He was really good.
Yeah, Jason.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Loved who played the Emperor? Who's
Jet Li.
Fucking Jet Li was back in the game. I was like, hello, that was fun.
Unrecognizable.
Mulan's father was really good. I don't know. I just felt like I was watching he
was recognizable.
Whatever. Anyway, this is okay.
The Commander was good too.
He pulled the handbrake.
Donnie Yen was pretty good. Okay, well, what do you think about this? So, if you had families, John, you're an uncle. Dave, you probably should be. Is there? I'm
an uncle now.
Oh my gosh, John, the Commander was the. Yay, Dave! Nice.
Yeah, I married into uncledom.
You married into uncle, right? Sorry. Thank you, Therese. Thank you. Sorry about that. And of course, we didn't mention Donnie Yen.
Oh yeah, dude.
Is it Ape Man or IP Man? John, you saw that. You made me watch that movie, and it was so good.
Oh, also. I just have to bring up.
He's also in Rogue One.
I just have to bring up before we close on this. Did anyone notice, like, right at the very beginning, where she jumps down off the roof and literally drops the Chang Sing gang sign from Big Trouble in Little China in the first 2 minutes of this film?
No, I didn't notice that. That's hilarious.
I missed that one.
Yes.
Dave, I missed that one. I'm so sorry.
I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but
Nice.
fuck, it looked like it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, families. I mean, so this film's long, but then again, there's so much violence on the second half of this movie that I feel like the parents would like from like 45 minutes into the end. Except for the one scene that's like, Mulan, if we ever see you again, we're gonna kill you. And then you see her again right away.
Yes. Yeah.
So okay, not the best editing, but besides that, would families like this movie? Would kids like this movie? Who do you think's more likely to like this movie? We're a positive film podcast. Who's more likely to like this movie, the parents or the kids?
Well, this is the kind of question I guess I would want to ask. Like, we don't have kids. None of us have kids. So I would want to ask some parents out there, like, what do you do when these live action releases happen? Are you showing them the animated feature first, or is this going to be this generation's version of Mulan? Because if that's the case, then I think, yeah, sure, I think they'll love it. You know, it's the production value is huge. The story comes across fine. The themes are loud and fucking clear, and I think the kids are going to react to them pretty well. But I'm not quite sure like how they're going to weave both of those things. So if you were just asking me if I had kids, would I take them to go see this? I probably would. But I think I would also want to show them the animated feature more than I would want to take them to see this.
I think what's going to happen is everyone who saw the animated feature, they've got Disney Plus, so they have the choice of the two. And I think I know which one's going to be fucking shown to the kids.
Yeah. Also, the supporting. Okay, which one? Because again, I've seen this first one a lot. Which supporting actor is Ling? Which supporting actor is Yao? Which supporting actor is Po? Those are the big four. Them and Mulan, they're all friends with each other. Could you possibly guess which one was which based on seeing this movie? Like, I feel like one of them sticks out, but like the supporting characters, they try to like rush in shitty dialogue, and it's like you need to give them something.
Yeah.
You need to give them something.
Yeah, I did appreciate, and I have no idea if this is accurate or not. This is just a storytelling thing. This is not me commenting on Chinese culture at all. Right. I did appreciate that I do think they achieved her not falling into the Disney trope of the love story dominating her coming of age. The way she eventually did respond to that guy's advances at the very end. I want to see you again, you know, basically saying, I'm going to see you again one day. And she just looks at him, they make some intimate eye contact, and she touches his hand and like maybe I'll see you again soon. There's something here, but she didn't kiss him. She didn't say, I can't wait to see you. She didn't fall into his arms. So I do think they held on to what they were trying to achieve with her being truly independent. And that was my biggest takeaway, which is if I was a young girl, if I had daughters, I probably would be proud of, you know, I would be happy for them to see a good example of that. I just don't know if the rest of the movie was worth it. I can probably think of 5 other movies that achieved that more efficiently with better storytelling.
Probably more than 5.
Jeff, have you got the Facebook chat up?
No, I'm on Twitch.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So David Knight's dropped in, and apparently you'll always be your mum's baby.
I'll always be my mom's baby.
I feel like it popped up a while back. I had to wait for us to...
Sorry, Dave. Dave, we missed you. Dave, I went skiing this week. We have to talk about that later. All right, let's wind down this episode, and then we'll stay live on Facebook and Twitch to anybody who's still watching us live.
Yeah, we can check out the Globes.
Golden Globe stuff. So yeah, we got to check out the Globes. People, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we're switching up our list. So next week we're definitely doing Nomadland, which seems to be the front runner for picture and director. Not that it matters. Not that that's what this is about. But Nomadland, which just dropped on Hulu this past week, we're going to be talking about that. And our redemption movie is...
The Witches.
The Witches!
Yes.
Featuring some A-list celebrities in there. Okay, people. So
HBO Max, I believe.
Sounds like
it is. Max. And Anne Hathaway also has Worst Actress nomination for that.
Ooh. Yikes.
2 in 1 year?
Yeah, Anne Hathaway's on our maybe Razzie list twice in 1 year. She's not going to be nominated for the other one, though, right?
She's on the list. I think she's nominated for 2 things.
She wasn't that bad in the other movie.
Yeah, we'll pull out that list in a minute.
What's that movie called? We just watched that like 6 weeks ago, and I can't remember what it was called.
Yes.
I don't want to tell him. What was it called?
Oh
my God, you guys!
Yeah.
Don't see it. It's on Netflix. Don't see it. All right, people. So that is. The things I wanted to say, I didn't. It's about her dad, or something. I don't know.
Yes.
People,
the last thing he wanted.
The last thing he wanted. Thank you so much, Dave. Don't go see it on Netflix. We'll see you all soon. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. Have a good one.
And I'm not even taking us out. We'll just stay live.
Nice, but we can end this.
Yeah, stop the recording.
Yeah, let me end this recording. And Dave, do you mind if I record the intros really fast, and then we can just hang out for a minute?
Yeah,
You do this correctly.
I mean, you can do this.
Like I fucked up Carlos's handle. I just don't want to fuck him up. I feel bad that I missed his handle.
Carlos
we are still
Carlos
live at the
told me-
moment, so
Carlos also told me we didn't actually have to do this every week. So if you fucked up his handle, it's okay. Nobody's gonna use this podcast and be like,
He's told me that before too. But like, if we're gonna call him out, we might as well call him out correctly.
all right. Bridie on Facebook right now is like, there's things called books. Authors write them and fans adore them. How many films give more than a glance at the truth of story?
I don't have a good answer
Yeah.
to that. to be honest
There
with
are
you.
times when that definitely applies. There are times when that definitely doesn't. And hi, Bridie.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I
Bridie
think
hasn't jumped in. I've been friends with Bridie for years. She's awesome.
Oh, nice.
I think there are movies that are done well enough for that point to be argued. But if you're talking about big picture Hollywood stuff where they're trying to make $1 billion, I totally agree with you.
Oh yeah,
They're going to try to sell tickets. They're not going to give value to
looking at you, new Star Wars
groundbreaking
trilogy.
storytelling skills. Yeah, no.
Yeah, the Star Wars is a great example. They had so much literature that it helped their
Yeah.
movies. I mean, the remakes were still kind of shitty, but like they had stuff to pull from.
They did. Although they
Judas
all those books, they
Mulan.
immediately declared those non-canon when Disney got the rights to Star Wars. They immediately declared the books non-canon. Then, when the other stuff didn't work, they went back and started pulling from the books.
Oh man.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
All right, let me upload real fast. I'm about to hit this and then I'll record my intros. And thank you, Facebook community, for letting me give it another shot. And now I'm drunk and we'll see if I can actually get through the
let's
first.
see if John can get through the shout out.
Let's see if I can even potentially get through the fucking shout out.
All right, here we go. Go for it.
Hold on one
You
second.
recording?
Wait. I'm not. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm doing a fresh one for you, so you don't have to do it too much.
All right, a freshie.
Shout outs. We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. You can give him a follow on Instagram. The handle is C Barroso Bar 2019. That is CBARROZOBAR 2019. And as always, the music you hear on this episode and every motherfucking episode is provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. If you're digging the music, head on over to soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist, and you can download everything for free. Jeff.
Fuck you, John.
Just put that right after. Just insert that right after every intro, every fucking episode from now on.
That's just a button now.
Look, I want to make use of my scholarship. I
You
want them to
created
know
a
that I'm
monster.
doing the right thing.
Seriously, like when those were sent through, I've like my stream deck is full now because I got the 15 button one. I really wish
That's all you
I
can use.
really wish I got the 30 button one so I could just go nuts with both hands. So,
Well, we don't need the category fraud. We definitely don't need anymore. But John's is sticking around. That one's.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm not.
I think after
I'll put
tonight
a
we
fuck
also
you,
need
Dave, in.
we also need a fuck you Disney one, don't we? After tonight.
Fuck you, Dave. I should just literally, because I have the fuck yous pretty tight. I'll just do Disney. I'll do anything else we need. Has
Yeah,
David
that'd be
Knight,
funny
has
if you
anything
started
else?
throwing that in there. Yeah, for whoever we're talking shit about.
Yeah. All right,
I just can't take it, you guys. Do you have any recommendations for the other live action ones? Because I've seen the Aladdin. I watched Aladdin just to try to challenge myself.
I watched
and
Aladdin
I fucking
on the-
hated it.
I watched Aladdin
and
on
then
the
I watched
plane.
this,
This
and I
is
didn't
okay.
like it either. Is there a good one? Is there a good one I should watch to try to prove
Honestly,
myself wrong?
Lion
The
King
Jungle Book one is
Lion
my
King
favorite.
is kind of fun.
And it's not Disney, I don't think.
Lion King's kind
Lion
of fun
King
because
Lion
of
King
the
and Jungle Book?
Well, yeah, Lion King they take certain liberties with stuff that like because they know everyone's watched it to death, so occasionally they change little things and make a point that they've changed them,
Yeah.
and it's in good fun. So
That's John
They
Favreau.
let Seth
Yeah,
Rogen
right?
as Seth Pumbaa was just like they were like, all right, just try your best to not be Nathan Lane. Like, can you please just do Ernie Sabella? Can you please just do something else? And then it was Bobby. Oh my God, Bobby. What's his name? Bobby on the Street. What's his name? Bobby.
Yeah, who
Eichner.
yells a
Bobby
lot?
Eichner was. Yeah, he was Timon. It was funny. It was, but this is a real problem. First of all, they try to be realistic. So the opening, there's like, they're not a standing room only at the opening segment because the animals they like spaced out, and I think that matters. Like I want the zebras right next to everybody. I want them all next to each other. They're all spaced out. Also, I know this seems like it won't matter. But the lions
Standing room
can't.
only.
No, there was so much empty space. I was like, this is like a weak turnout. It was like a Sunday in the summer at church. No, I think this is a real problem. The real problem is the lions can't smile in real life. Like actual lions can't smile. So you never knew what emotion was on their face because they were just like, oh my God, we're going to go to the water hall. Oh, water hall. Yeah, we're going to go down there. And they're just like droopy the whole time. Like it doesn't have that magic. Sorry, that's just my opinion. But I saw it with Chloe in theaters. We saw it in theaters and we were like,
Everybody said the Lion King.
They
was
always
good.
cast the black guy as the villain too. Idris Elba, I think, is the villain in both of those movies, if I'm mistaken. In Jungle Book.
Yeah, I know. I know he's in the Jungle Book. I saw the last like 15 minutes of the Jungle Book, and I was like, that actually looks okay. It looks pretty cool.
It's kind of cool.
I mean, the Jungle Book, if anything, was a rehearsal for Lion King to see if they could do it.
I just don't understand, you guys. I just don't.
Christopher Walken. Yeah.
Somebody explain to me why they're not making original stuff. I'm personally offended. I grew up being so inspired by Disney. They were the most inspiring company on earth for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I think what's happened now is they've got this wonderful new technology and they're like, we can use this technology to do this. And they're so excited by the technology, they're not asking whether they should.
And I appreciate
also
that.
the original movies take so long. The original movies take so long. They take 4 to 7 years or whatever to.
But isn't that part of the magic? Isn't that part of the allure of Disney? Like I remember going to fucking Walt Disney World and I saw them drawing Mulan. I went on a tour of their studios and I got to see the people literally animating their next feature film. It was this thing called Mulan. I got to see that. That was so fucking cool.
You can never like adjust yourself because there's always a Disney tour coming through. Can you imagine that? You're there and you're just like, man, you're like, oops.
I don't know. I think we all know a bunch of those guys are fucking perverts. All the shit that they wrote into
we'd be sitting there around the
shit.
tables. It's like, guys, I've had itchy nuts for 3 hours. Can they stop with the tour groups?
I mean, just scratch. You know, there's some poor Disney employee that just sits below the desks and just scratches nuts all day for the animators. That's like... Where's your smile? Where's your smile?
Before we take a peek at the Golden Globes, I pulled up the Razzie long list just to see how close we were.
Okay.
Worst picture, 365 days. Got it.
Yeah.
Absolute Proof, which I've never heard of. This documentary was financed and starring the My Pillow guy. Apparently proves that voting irregularities resulted in the 2020 presidential election being stolen. He made his own fucking documentary.
Sure.
He made his own documentary.
Yes.
He got off his pillow. He got his camera. And
it's the same Bannon thing.
He's actually up for a couple of Razzies actually. So that's in the running for the long. All 3 Barbie and Kendra movies. I don't know what they are. They're made for next to nothing apparently.
I've never heard of that.
Less. Doolittle is still on the long list. Fantasy Island's on the long list, so we've covered those. UB Halloween. I never saw this. Adam Sandler produced and starred in this film, dim-witted trick-or-treat tale of a town idiot who rescues All Hallows Eve.
Oh my God.
No.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah, it's like, I've got a Netflix deal. I'll just tune out whatever the fuck I want now.
Damn.
Love, Weddings and Other Disasters. It's a rom-com with a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes.
4%.
Sure.
Wow.
The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson.
Shit, we got more to see, guys.
That was
Wow, yeah, it apparently solves the mystery of who killed her. Well, whatever. Music, the film we were talking about before we started broadcasting, where they
the Sia.
Yeah, it's apparently not.
Music has got to be on our list. We're gonna put that on our list.
I did really.
I know Maddie Ziegler very well because I've seen a lot of episodes of Dance Moms.
I know
so
you have.
I know this.
But aren't there certain dark places that even we shouldn't go?
Don't pause me. We're not on the podcast anymore.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck, dude. You watch too much fucking reality TV. It's just the deal.
The things we do for love, my friends.
I don't know if anyone's even still here, but we're still talking about.
We love you, Chloe. Sorry. Have you guys watched The Fast and Night yet? You have to watch it. I want you to watch it so you can at least talk about it when in your. I watched it this week. It's so good. It's one of the best movies this year.
You want us to watch something you want to talk about? How about WandaVision, motherfucker?
I told you I have a reason though. I'm waiting until it finishes.
Well, it finishes this week.
And
So-
I know damn well that John's gonna watch
There you
that
go.
entire thing in 12 hours.
And then
Absolutely,
there's a
I
film,
promise I will watch it.
Then there's a film called The Wrong Missy. Adam Sandler produces this laugh-free off of the. That's two. That's two. Adam, what are you doing?
Adam,
What are you doing?
See?
First, he had the Netflix deal, which went terribly awry. Those
It
6
did.
movies he made
It
for
did.
Netflix. Oh my god,
Yeah. It's
2 in 1 year for
it's like-
these.
it's like after Austin Powers when nobody was telling Mike Myers no, and The Love Guru came about.
This is such a shame too, because Jeff sent me and our friends a good video of.
So,
Of,
wait,
Adam,
listen to the premise of this for a second. It's a version of The Hottie and the Noddy in which David Spade accidentally invites an ugly girl to the corporate retreat instead of the sexy blonde he just met.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ Almighty!
That is
So
that
it's
is
not only-
spoon-fed for
it's
David
not only-
Spade because
it's
he
not
was
only
very
shit,
famous for
it's
like having girls that were
completely
way
tone
too
deaf.
attractive for him.
Yeah.
reaching deep into the bag for that one, Adam.
Yeah. Wow. Worst director, Charles Band for the Barbie and Kendra movies. They really didn't like these, whatever they are.
The fuck are those?
I mean, it's
Never heard of
Barbie, obviously. Corona zombies. Okay, I've got to see this. Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger
Yeah.
King. And
Wait,
Barbie-
Therese is still roasting John, and I think it's great. Therese
Give
said
me some-
WandaVision.
yeah, tell me.
She just said lame procrastination. That's what she says to you.
Okay,
She
now
says your
I'm
procrastination
going to
is lame.
pull her up on that because
sure.
I had to sit here while she was bitching about having to wait a week to watch the next episode. So
Oh shit!
yeah,
I get it. I understand. I
So-
just prefer to binge. If I
so
can wait, I'm
Therese-
going to prefer to binge.
yeah.
Therese,
So
I hope you
yeah,
wanna binge. I
did
hope
you-
you-
okay, I just
feel
want
like
to. I just want to.
There's a chance that at WandaVision you're going to want to take a break.
Yeah,
There's
let's-
also a chance you're going to want to plow through. so
Let's
I'm not
just
sure.
roll back here for a second. The
Oh,
Barbie and
wow.
Kendra movies, Corona Zombies, Barbie and Kendra Save the Tiger King, and Barbie and Kendra Storm Area 51. This is not the animated Barbie films that I thought it was. So,
Wow.
Can you believe,
The
can
two-
you believe that he wasn't pardoned?
the
That Tiger King wasn't pardoned?
the two directors of 365 Days are nominated for Worst Director. Stephen Brill, who directed the Adam Sandler film, is nominated for Worst Director.
I'm trying
is
to
Therese coming after you?
I just
saw you turn
I saw
around.
the door open. And I'm like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I'm like, Therese, she just sent Diamond in. Your cat's gonna fucking murder you.
She's
Yeah.
crawling on the floor behind me. She's literally.
Kill,
Yes,
kill,
Therese!
kill.
Yeah.
Hey, Therese.
She's taking,
Hey.
wait, she just took your beer.
She did. Now you have to get
And then
to
she
the
put
other
down
one.
definitely an empty can. It's definitely empty now. I definitely heard that.
No, just walk
He
in.
did
It's fine.
buzz her.
Yes.
He buzzed her. She drank. She's
Yep.
playing by the rules.
Yeah. Okay, so Dennis Dugan for Love Weddings and Other Disasters. Doolittle is getting a Worst Director. Hillbilly Elegy.
Sure.
Ron Howard got a nod for Worst
I
Director.
know.
For
We're doing that in.
That's
I think we're
that
doing
could win
that.
an Oscar.
We're doing that in 2 weeks, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the good category.
Absolute
Wait, could
proof
that
No.
could be our
it is.
back?
No,
Hillbilly
it's in our bad.
Yeah,
It's in our
Hillbilly
bad
Elegy.
category.
It got nominated for a Razzie.
Hillbilly Elegy, which might win for Glenn Close, is in our bad Oscar category.
She's
Jesus.
also. Wait. Wait till we get down the list.
Her one Oscar is going to be a rotten movie.
Sia is
for sure.
also nominated for Worst Director. The Wrong
Sure.
Missy. And Capone, Josh Trank, nominated for Worst Director.
Yeah, that was not directed well.
No,
Sorry,
no, it
Josh.
was not.
Let's
I'm
see.
still gonna stand by. I do not understand why Doolittle is on this list. It was not
No.
that bad.
Yeah.
Do you guys still agree with that, or have you changed
Yeah,
it? too?
No, absolutely, I agree with that. We still we were sitting there the other day and we were making a joke about that fucking squirrel with revenge. It's
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna laugh about that forever. So
Yeah, I didn't think it was that terrible. Are we
worst-
more cynical in our pandemic year?
possibly? Well, I mean, everyone's on the internet, and they're like, suddenly everyone's a movie
Yeah.
critic because we are. But Robert De Niro, Worst Actor,
For what?
War with Grandpa.
Maybe. Sorry, Bob.
Jamie Dornan, Endings Beginning.
1 out of 56 movies ain't bad, I guess.
Robert Downey Jr. for Worst Actor for Doolittle. That one I might get behind.
Well, maybe worst accent.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, definitely worth that.
Worst
Tom-
job having
no,
$400 million and not hiring a voice coach.
Further down the list, you have worst screen combo, and Robert Downey Jr. and his utterly unconvincing Welsh accent are nominated.
there you go. That's the winner right there. That was gonna fucking take it.
So then you got Tom Hardy for Capone is nominated
I
for worst
am-
actor.
Yeah.
Not good at accents. That's basically
Yes. Paul Hogan, the very excellent Mr. Dundee. I didn't even know that came out.
What? I never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's basically Paul Hogan playing himself, and he's kind of washed up,
Hold on,
and
wait.
he's going to get an OBE from the Queen or something.
I think we need to do an entire episode dedicated to this, and we all need to just dedicate it to Australia. Get the flags in our background. We need to really go for this. Hold on, they made another Dundee picture?
No, it's not. It's not a Dundee picture. It's him getting an OBE from the Queen or something, or an award or some sort, as himself because of Crocodile Dundee.
As he should.
Yeah.
As he should.
Actually, if you ever want to see one of the best Oscar like intros ever, look up what he did that year. Because he's given the instructions on what to do when you don't win. It's like, don't sit there clapping like you're happy. Get up, storm out. That's what I'm going to do if I don't win. Yeah.
Yeah. Australia.
Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, as himself in Absolute Proof. Michelle
Jesus.
Morone, the guy in 365 Days, worst actor. Adam Sandler. Hubie Halloween and David Spade, wrong Missy. So both of them got a worst actor.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Adam should win.
And John Turturro in the Jesus Rolls, which I've never heard of.
The Jesus Rolls?
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. I mean, here's worst actress. Drew Barrymore in a dual role in The Stand-In.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I wonder, can I pull this up in the discussion page? Let me have a look.
Hold on, wait a second. The Jesus, I don't know why we didn't assume this, but the Jesus Rolls is a spin-off from his character in The Big Lebowski, written and directed by John Turturro.
Oh, wow.
The Jesus, remember the Jesus character? It's so good. It's so iconic in The Big Lebowski. And he made his own movie about it. And apparently it's not very good, folks. That's what we're reading. Haven't seen it yet, but that's what I hear.
I managed to pull them up. Here we go. So they're on screen now for everyone who's joining us to have a look at. Okay, so worst actress, Anne Hathaway, Last Thing You Wanted, and Roald Dahl's The Witches. She got nominated for 2. She may be a shoo-in there. That's looking good for her.
She has had a rough go of it. When was the last time she made a really successful film, Jeff? Anne Hathaway. So 2014 with Rises? When was Rises? Dark Knight. I know she's not even the lead in that. That was
2012.
And again,
Interstellar was
same year.
What, Jeff?
Dark Knight Rises and Les Mis, I think, were the same year, 2012. She's done something since that. She was in a Ben Affleck movie or something that did okay. Dark Waters was better than nobody saw it, but it was better. And then Ocean's 8, which didn't get good credit.
Oh yeah.
And then she did another. Alice Through the Looking Glass in 2016.
I saw Dark Waters. That was good.
That was 2014. So it's in there, but she was also in Modern Love for 2 episodes. But
weird.
She has a movie called Lockdown that came out with Chiwetel Ejiofor, which has a 5.1. That should probably be Razzies too.
I heard some people talking about it. It sounded not very good.
Katie Holmes got a Razzie nomination. She's on the list. Kate Hudson for The Boy 2 and The Secret, Dare to Dream. They made another secret film. Yes, it is : The Secret : Dare to Dream.
Dare to Dream. Yes.
Because it's not secret if the colon's not involved.
Oh my God.
Kate Hudson for music. Diane Keaton, Love, Marriage, and Other Disasters. Lauren Lapkus, The Wrong Missy. Maggie Q, The Death of Me. I don't even know what that is. Andrea Riseborough for The Grudge. Apparently the remake, not so good.
Remake, yeah, weird.
Yikes.
Anna Maria Sikluka for 365 days.
Sure.
Yeah. And Hilary Swank for Fatale and The Hunt. So she's got 2 noms as well. So it's Hilary Swank versus Anne Hathaway right here in the Razzies. What they're gonna
That just bothers me. You just listed like Anne Hathaway, Kate Winslet, Diane Keaton, and who did you just say?
Kate Hudson, Diane Keaton, Hilary Swank, Anne Hathaway, and Drew Barrymore.
So those are 4 Oscar winners, 5 Oscar nominees who just got nominated for Razzies. What's happening to the film industry, you guys, when we're giving them movies?
I mean, is
like
it?
this?
Yeah, is it just the movies like this? I can't imagine like they have a really good track record.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you know they have good agents. So like, what happened?
Yeah. Worst supporting actor. This will be fun. Nicolas Cage, Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
I'll take that.
You made a movie called Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's as ridiculous as it sounds too. What? Look up the trailer. Fuck, dude, look up the trailer.
Is he a jiu-jitsu master? Is he a master of jiu-jitsu?
Pretty much. Look at it's ridiculous, and that's all Nicolas Cage does these days, which is great. And then Chevy Chase for the very excellent Mr. Dundee, where he plays himself. Mel Gibson in Force of Nature. Rudy Giuliani as himself in Borat, subsequent movie film. He's got a Razzie. Kevin James in Yubi Halloween. I didn't even know he was in it. Shia LaBeouf's got one for Tax Collector. Schwarzenegger's got one for Iron Mask. Nick Swardson, The Wrong Missy. Christopher Walken, The War with Grandpa. So War with Grandpa has the two people.
Wow.
Bruce Willis.
The Deer Hunter cast is being shat on. In
Bruce
The War with
Willis,
Grandpa.
two, Breach, Hard Kill, and Survive the Night.
Wow.
Damn.
No.
Worst supporting actress: Judi Dench, Artemis Fowl. Okay.
Poor
What
Judy.
about wait? What about Top of the Morning? What about that moment? Hold on.
Top of the morning when she walked in.
That was so
Okay,
good.
yeah, that was gold.
Just like
gold.
Top of the Morning.
Top of the morning.
Glenn Close.
Push in.
Worst supporting actress: Glenn Close, Hillbilly Elegy.
She may win the Oscar, and this is the Sandra Bullock scenario over here, folks.
Yeah. Lucy Hale, Fantasy Island.
Right.
Selma Hayek, Bliss Like a Boss. Bliss and Like a Boss, sorry. 2 movies. Demi Moore, Songbird. Olivia Newton-John, The Very Excellent Mr. Hogan. I haven't seen it, but yeah. Maggie Q, Fantasy Island. I don't know. I don't know if that qualifies as Fantasy Island qualifies as worst actress because they were not given a lot to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackie Sandler, The Wrong Missy. Kristen Wiig, Wonder Woman 1984. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Fuck you. She was the one highlight in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not.
Except for the clumsy
not the
trope.
worst actress.
Basically anyone who drops their papers in the first 5 minutes of a superhero film is going to turn into the fucking villain.
It was on the page, people. It was on the
But
page.
like her cheetah was the highlight of that movie for me, so they can fuck right off with that. Maddie Ziegler, music.
Mm.
We'll see how autistic she looks.
She may get that. Like, cause yeah,
but it's almost so rude. It's almost so like but maybe she will. But I feel like it's not her fault that she got cast, so they might like take it out on.
I know, poor thing. Career began, career over.
You know what?
Well,
I think she'll
gets
go
paid.
on. I think she'll go
She gets
on.
paid. She's a dancer, so she'll get paid. So, but it's like
I feel bad for her. It's not her fault.
Also, the reason we know
as Halle
her is
Berry
not just
proved,
dance.
getting a Razzie is not always the worst thing.
The reason we know Maddie Ziegler is not Dance Moms, it's actually the Sia music video, which has over 2 billion views. So Sia has cast her like 4 times in these music videos that have billions of views. So when she casts you in a movie, what are you going to say? No, I can't play autistic. She's like 20. So she said yes, and now she's in the Razzie category, which, okay, maybe she does deserve. But I feel like if I were a voter, I'd be like, well, this is Sia's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can she say no? She can't say no to that.
All right, worst screen combo. Maria.
How many more are there, by the way? This is
3.
okay.
Maria Bakalova and Rudy Giuliani in Borat.
That one scene.
Yeah.
I hope they win because Maria would love winning that award. I feel like Maria's going to go. She's going to go to the ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
She might be up for the Oscars.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
The 365 Days couple got nominated.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler and his grating simpleton accent in Yubi Halloween.
The actor and actress actually had pretty good chemistry in 365 Days, so that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
They
right.
fucked the shit out of each other. I don't think chemistry was the issue.
I believed them both during. Yeah.
I'm
Is
going to
that
skip
also
that. I'm going to
logic?
skip that and go straight to worst screenplay. 365 days.
Yep.
Yes.
That's gonna be up there.
Yeah, absolute proof. All 3 Barbie and Kendra movies. Doolittle.
Interior.
Yeah.
Exterior. They fuck. Interior. They fuck.
They fuck some more.
Exterior.
Yeah. Doolittle, Fantasy Island, Hillbilly Elegy, Music, Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, Very Excellent Mr. Dundee, War with Grandpa, Wrong Missy.
So the murder of Nicole Simpson proves that OJ did it? Is that
no,
is
it
that
proves
the
he didn't apparently.
Oh,
my God,
shit.
We have to
Oh
see
no.
this movie.
Yeah,
I will read this movie.
Yeah, someone was talking about this. And
We
they
might
went,
have to-
spoiler
Tells us
alert,
that
he
OJ
didn't do it.
We might have to group
OJ
watch
wrote
this
a
one,
book
guys.
called If I Did It.
OJ
Yeah.
wrote this in prison.
Yeah.
He wrote his screenplay in prison.
Yeah. Apparently they managed to prove it somehow. Okay, worst remake. 365 Days, Polish remake ripoff of 50 Shades of Grey. Both Barbie and Kendra sequels. So they're counting 2 out of the 3 as the worst remake. Capone. Is Capone a remake?
No.
No. But I guess because it's called Capone.
I guess that's
not a
where he's been
remake.
done to
No, it's
death.
not.
Yeah. Doolittle is a remake. Fantasy
It is a
Island.
remake, yeah.
UB Halloween, which is a remake or / ripoff of Ernest Scared Stupid. Iron Mask. Mulan. Mulan's in there for worst remake.
Wow. Yeah.
Very Excellent Mr. Dundee. Not a remake. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
Completely different movie. Wonder Woman 1984. That I could see worst sequel, but that's not a remake either.
It's not a remake. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
And The Wrong Missy, which is a remake ripoff of The Hottie and the Noddy.
Jeff,
So that's our list.
has anyone any updates on the Golden Globes? I'm going there right now.
Oh,
Let's see
yes,
who's
John.
winning.
Hit us.
So you have Catherine O'Hara for Schitt's Creek. You
Oh, okay.
have John
Good.
Boyega for Small Acts, which was worst supporting actor. Or sorry, worst.
Worst. No, we're in the good
Best.
stuff now. We're in the good stuff.
Best supporting actor of a TV show.
He was really good in that episode. That was a good episode.
You have Mark Ruffalo for Best Lead in a TV show or made-for-TV movie.
Ooh.
I told you the one I was talking about, the Derek John France
Where he
series.
plays 2 roles?
I know this to be true. Yeah.
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 Soul has 2. It won Best Animated Feature and it won Best Score. Atticus Ross.
Oh.
Trent
That's
Reznor
fair.
and Atticus.
And John Batiste. John Batiste,
Yeah.
which would be big for the Oscars if John Batiste gets an Oscar, because the stuff that John Batiste very clearly did for Soul.
Unreal,
He's
dude. The making of stuff is pretty cool. I recommend watching that if you haven't yet.
Where they do they do his hands. They basically do that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Emma Corrin, who played Princess Diana in The Crown, which is interesting because even after the lead versus supporting here, now she could have been in either category, and they chose to put her in lead because they thought she would have a better chance. Isn't that interesting? And then she won, even though I kind of think that
She's Diana, right?
yeah, she's Diana. Aaron
Yeah.
Sorkin won for best screenplay for best.
Good.
Actually, just best screenplay across. Just I don't think they
Just
separate
ever.
at the Globes.
Trial of Chicago City, just the best screenplay of all time.
No, not. And then there's a new one that just happened.
Ooh, what just happened?
Best original. No, this is not. This is 10 minutes ago. Best original song went to "The Life Ahead," which was a song called "Scene." That Diane Warren gets another one.
Mm-hmm.
God, who fucking cares?
That's it. That's it. I'm gonna go watch the rest. I'll see
Sure.
you guys soon. It's been fun. I gotta go.
All right, I'll sign us out. We'll see everybody next week when we do this again.
See you.
Thanks, you guys.
next week when we do this
Peace.
again.